January 4th, 2024, micro NASDAQ futures, 1 minute chart. It will cover poor structure in the pre-market and gaps, and then some waves and my trades. So I'm going to zoom in to the pre-market so you can see this data a little bit better. Zoom in a little bit more here. So there's a gap between these two candle bodies right here that's indicated by this orange wedge, and I've drawn the yellow line down on this kind of fuchsia colored line, pink line here. It's drawn at the bottom of this tail, and then the second fuchsia line is drawn at the top of this wick. And what I'm indicating by these two is that there's only one candle, and this secondary candle that has the close and the wick in this. There's no other candles that have any overlapping price intersecting this area yet. Scrolling more to the right, there's another gap between these two candles here. Gap between these two candles, the secondary gap is filled, so I didn't draw the yellow line. And we've got a gap here on this blue line, which I've drawn, a gap here, and a gap here. So gaps and poor structure can become targets. So we'll get into this morning's trade and waves. So you see there's a gap here. This blue wedge also indicates a gap right before market open, that there's a gap. That gap gets filled on the first 1 minute candle. These two other blue line gaps also get filled on the first 1 minute candle. And you can see that that third blue line gets filled on the second candle and also gets filled again on the subsequent candles. So at this point, price is going up. So I just document this as the bottom, and this is the high. So wave one beginning, wave one end. How is this wave one end? Because you have candle body, under candle body. That's the conclusion of wave one. And then you're expecting a pull back into candles and the wave to then go higher. This is an absolutely nightmare pullback, because price pulls back for an extended period of time, doesn't make any new candle body highs over this until ultimately right here. It's very choppy and very difficult for me to trade. So the other thing I'm going to point out here is, while this sideways action is occurring, there are some key points of interest in the data. So what you'll notice here is on this first 1 minute candle, you have the tail, and then price pulls back. It touches this tail. It touches the blue line anyway. I'm going to take this blue line out for now. Price pulls back and pulls back. So what I look for is where there are 4 touch points where I can intersect the bodies. So this candle low is at 16451.75. This candle low is 16452. So this is the lowest candle body. So I can connect the low of this candle with this tail, and with this tail, and with this tail. So let's go ahead and do that now. Just intersect all of these. My line looks straight. You'll also notice that where there was a gap between these two bodies, that line, I'll put in a yellow line back in here. Whoops. I'm going to change the color of this line. This didn't actually draw the way I wanted this to. Remove this. Draw a different draw. Put in a blue line here. Okay. That this gap was also filled again here and filled again here. When price came up, it also created some poor structure. So I'm going to draw a a blue line from the top of this to where price intersects. And the first intersection is on this straight, is on this wick here. But, and I'm going to draw another one from this blue from the top of that wick. Let's make sure I get a straight line. Okay, so this right here, I'm calling between these two blue lines, poor structure. I need to see price overlapping this section with at least 4 touch points. So here's the second touch point. It's not complete, but it's touching in this zone. Third touch point, fourth touch point. So this is why I remain bullish even through all of this chop. And then we had price targets above, which have already been talked about. So I will go ahead and point out one more thing is, you'll notice every time that price came down to this blue line that I've drawn, and even this yellow line, is that price gets bought back up. Meaning it closes above the blue line, closes above the yellow line, closes above the blue line, closes above the blue line and the yellow line every single time. So that's also bullish. And on this candle right here, price breaks out of essentially, I'll draw a quick rectangle here. It kind of breaks out of, if I use like the top of, the bodies, right? And I draw this way, you can see price actually closes outside of this consolidation above the candle bodies, not above the wicks yet, but above the candle bodies. So that's very bullish. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my trades and just cover these. So I bought 2 down here on at 454, sold 1 at 74, sold 1 at 85. So I took 1 off at 20 points higher, 1 at 30 points higher. Tried to buy the pullback here and got stopped out in this group here. Tried to buy it again, got stopped out. Bought again in here. Sold 1 up here, stopped out, bought 1, stopped out. Bought another one, stopped out. Then when this large yellow candle that you see occurred, I got long 3 contracts at an average of 16,462 on this candle, which had been right around here where I'm flashing my cursor, right around here. And got a pullback, added at 80, which is right here, and then sold. So I'm selling into the high of this blue line, which is right around the 16,500. And you can see I sold all 4 contracts at 499.625. So that's just an average. But I did trade this extremely poorly, in terms of trading waves. If you're trading the waves like I speak about and don't even follow my own advice, I could have held through all of this and just ultimately kept my stop at the wave 1 low, but I didn't. And then when price breaks out right here, price is closing above this entire consolidation zone of bodies. Like I said, not the wicks, but just the bodies. We're definitely in a wave. We're in another move higher, a wave going higher. And so instead of selling all of my inventory, I should have held some of it and waited for the targets above to be hit. Also on this candle of significant note is this candle it's my volume color. It's a spectrum bars. It's a indicator. It's available in Thinkorswim, but I've modified it. And if the volume exceeds like 6,000 or 10,000, the volume bar gets colored. The rest of them are just by default gray. And so this was definitely a signal that something's going to happen here, is that price is it going to collapse or is it going to go up? And well, obviously we know that that price then went up. So as you can see, I'll shrink this down. You can see that the targets did hit this next gap line, and then that was the end of wave 2 up here at this yellow orange candle. And how do we know? Because this is candle body under candle body, so price is no longer going up. So there's my trades. You can see how I traded it poorly and how I need to improve. But I make these videos for that, and I make these videos just to share with others so they can see what I'm thinking about when I'm going through when I'm trading. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year.